many, many years, been out in the bush for a long, long time. Not really afraid of much in the Australian outback and bush. We're just out, having a bit of a hunt for a goat or two. I started hearing little whoops in the background, like whoop, whoop. I thought to myself, well, hold on, that's not kind of very familiar sound to me. So me being a little bit silly, I said to my mate Chris that was with me, I said, Chris, did you hear that? And he's like, yeah, I did. He goes, what is it? And I said, look, I don't know, but I'm going to whoop back at it. So I did, and it kept replying. And during the replies, it was coming from 3 different directions. There was a reply. The first reply came from my left. The second reply came from my far right. And the third reply came from dead centre, down in the gully, right down in the gully. Down in that gully, there was a whole heap of goats, and you could hear them running amok, like they were afraid. Something was scaring them. I said to my friend Chris, I said, this is strangely eerie to me because I watched a show before about Bigfoots, and I heard them saying something about whooping. And then I said the other thing I remember from watching that show was tree knocks. As I just finished saying that, to the right-hand side of us, behind us, up the hill, we heard wood knocks. Me being quite sceptical, I thought, it's probably just another tree bumping into another tree. But it sounded a little bit too rhythmic for it to be that. About maybe 30 seconds later, down in that gully, I heard the tree knocks again, but that was complete opposite direction. I said to Chris, I go, man, this is freaking me out a little bit. We stayed there for quite a while, and I tried to get a recording on my phone, but it was too far in the distance to hear it. And as I was trying to get the recording with my phone from the whooping, I started hearing like chattering, but it was like, it's hard to explain. It was like someone's talking really fast, but you can't understand it. And it was like, we stayed there for at least 20, 25 minutes, if not a bit longer. We started hearing footsteps. What I mean by footsteps, a human walking through the bush kind of footsteps, not something that's a quadruped, something that's bipedal, for sure. And we're looking towards that direction, and where we were was quite built up. As we're both looking down that direction, I thought I saw something moving, so I pointed to the direction, and Chris started looking with me, and he goes, can you see that? And I said, yes, I can see it. And it was an upright bipedal creature of some type, greyish-brown fur, but I could not get a clean image. I just got an image of it walking past the trees. Once I saw that, I said to Chris, you know what? I'm sorry, dude, but I'm out of here. We literally done a full 180 and legged it out of there as quick as possible. We got back to camp. We were sitting there just having a chat about it and saying, that was a little bit freaky. I've never experienced that before, and I've been in the bush for a long time, lots of hunting. I know a lot of the Australian animal sounds, and whatever it was, I've never heard before. And from what I know, there's nothing out there that can articulate the whooping sounds with their lips from the Australian fauna. So I was just sitting there kind of dumbfounded and very shocked. So me and Chris started looking on the internet. We started trying to find out information of sounds of Bigfoots, or the Australian version, which is called Yowie or something. So we started looking around, and we found this soundboard from a place in America somewhere. They had a soundboard of sound. And we were sitting in Chris's kitchen. He started playing these random sounds from the soundboard. They sounded exactly like what we heard. The chattering kind of sound, and the way the whoop was, how it starts like deep and then goes to a real high pitch. And I'm sitting there going, Chris, and I'm even right now as I'm talking, I've got goosebumps and my hair's standing on end because not quite a lot scares me out in the bush apart from snakes. I said to Chris, I go, you know what, that's enough. Get off the internet. I said, let's just worry about cooking something to eat for dinner, and then we're going to go and do a bit of fox shooting tonight on the back of your property. And he's like, yeah, no problems. We tried to calm ourselves down about the scenario, and, we're gearing up and getting ready to go out and do a bit of fox shooting that night. Would have been about 9 p.m, 9:30 p.m. And it was a very, very hot day, so that day was 37 degrees, and that evening was, still quite warm. So we go up to the back of his property near his dam and started whistling in some foxes, or trying to. So I'm using my fox whistles and that. And then we heard tree knocks again. This time, the same scenario from 3 different directions. One of them was from in front of us, the other one was to the left, and the other one was to the right, almost behind us. Then we heard this sound I've never heard, and it was like a blood-curdling sound. I've never heard it before. It was kind of like, and me and Chris just jumped up off where we were hiding in. We legged it, and we started trying to get out as quick as we could, because where we were was next to some blueberry bushes and stuff, so a bit thorny and stuff. So we're trying to get out of there without tearing ourselves up. Chris turns to me and goes, "Mate, hand me the knife." And I said, "Chris," I said, I'm scared. I've only got the 22 LR, and I know whatever that is not big enough to kill whatever it is. This rifle is definitely not big enough to kill whatever it is that's coming." And as we're saying that to each other and walking extremely fast back to camp, we were hearing the tree knocks following us from both sides of us. It was like they were flanking us and pushing us out. We got back to camp, and that night there was literally not one animal seen on that property. It was just really strange. Even the possums that usually fired in the trees near his kitchen, they were gone. Everything was gone. And it was just a really eerie kind of silence all that night, and it was a really strange feeling. So we started doing a bit more research about sightings of the Bigfoot or Yowie in Australia. We read an article somewhere there that in Mudgee there had been sightings in the 70s. This was starting to really worry us now, that there's been sightings not far from where we were.
The whooping sound, can you mimic it?
It would start deeper and go like whoop. Freaky stuff. I've never heard that before. And the thing is, as I said to Chris, there is no creature that I know in Australia that can articulate its mouth and lips to make that whooping sound.
Was there volume in the sound or not? You know what I mean? Was it?
Oh yeah. It was loud. It was loud. And especially from where it was coming from on the other side of, deep down in the bottom of Bigfoot Gully and across, because that's where a lot of the goat trails go through. And they were screaming, them goats are screaming, but when the whoops were happening, they were silent. You could not hear them.
The one glimpse you got of this thing, was it, you're talking it was just an impression between trees?
Whatever it was tall, very tall, and it was going past the trees. But as soon as we seen that, we legged it out of there, because whatever it was too big for me to take down. It would have towered over me. It would have been 7.5 feet, if not more. I would say from what I could see, like from it going between the trees, it would have been a unit, that's for sure. It would have been a decent sized unit. Definitely an experience that I will never forget. I've been out there and I've heard a lot of sounds, and being a hunter, you hear these kind of sounds and whatever it is that big, that the calibre I had when I was fox shooting, that was nowhere near as powerful enough as what I would have needed to have taken whatever this was down. Like that sound that we heard that night, which was never in my life heard a sound like that, ever. Them flanking us as we were going out with knocking, that was freaking me out.